This video is going to be a film study look at how the Baltimore Ravens, Todd Monken, and the offensive staff utilized Derrick Henry to really dominate, outcoach, and bludgeon the Pittsburgh Steelers front six, front seven on Saturday night. Usually these two teams play tough brand of defense against each other, particularly against the run. That was not the case on Saturday night. We really got everything we wanted from a diverse scheme standpoint throughout the game, starting with the first possession. Derrick Henry runs for 162, 24 carries. I think it's like 6.8 yards per attempt. Really unheard of between these two teams for one running back to dominate so much. You can go back and look at the last 6, 7, 8, 9 games. This is an anomaly. Derrick Henry's just a special football player, number one. You can do anything with him. You can get anything done in the run game, and as we saw once Justice Hill went out, had some really nice catches in the pass game as well. There's something for everyone here in what Todd Monken and the offensive staff are doing. And what I mean by that is the whole gap versus zone debate. I really don't care. I don't care. I just want to see them be effective. And the key for me is using both, using all of them. It's more than both, actually. There's 3 or 4 or 5 schemes here that we'll talk about. Trap, which is a gap scheme. Zone, obviously. Counter, gap scheme. Power, gap scheme. Split zone, which is a little bit of a hybrid between the two. And then outside zone, which I think is probably one of Derrick Henry's best play concepts for him to read and be able to react to. You get 2 examples of it, I believe, in this video where the Steelers are there. They're trying to make the play, and Henry's able to find the correct gap. He's just done that so many times out of a single back situation. It's a diverse run game, complicated, if you will. There were some that I didn't even pick up on during the game. I did recognize the trap concept where Henry wound it back against the grain of the trap block, but a couple of the things we did, especially early, I didn't really pick up on live. Let's get to the film. I won't have all of it annotated like I have tried to do here recently, just because of the production time trying to get this done. The Steelers, give them credit. They matched with 12. They matched our 12 personnel, which is Andrews and Likely. They matched that with 4-3 personnel. So all 3 inside linebackers are on the field. I think they're trying to get Wilson on with Queen for the pass defense against our 2 tight ends, but also keep their run-stopping inside linebacker. I think it's Roberts on at the same time. So credit to them for trying to go with a different look. But the problem is what we had in store really, I thought, had built-in answers for that. So normally the outside linebackers on option are going to run at Lamar, and sometimes Watt or Highsmith will kind of box it back in. Essentially, they'll force a give read, and then Jay or move back to the inside to try to tackle the running back from behind. It's not exactly what Watt's doing here. Watch how we handle this, and we'll give you the end zone angle. It's a pin pull on the backside with Falele and Rosengarten. Now, Rosengarten doesn't really finish off Queen. This only ends up being a 6-yard gain, but it's something to just examine and look at, and credit the offensive staff for recognizing the strengths/limitations of these 4 guys. So when you look at Linderbaum and Macari together, smaller, quicker, they're not going to physically dominate people one-on-one. Neither is Rosengarten for that matter. But those are zone-type characteristics or traits. I'm not saying that Linderbaum is, but that they're great zone-blocking guys. Over here, you don't have the same dynamic with Falele. Clearly, Rosengarten's quicker, isn't a huge offensive tackle. So we handle this differently. Falele down blocks Benton. Rosengarten folds inside to go get Patrick Queen. Whereas here, we basically handle this like a typical zone combo because those guys are better suited to get that done, and Falele just clearly is not. I thought Falele played a lot better this week, more in line with what you had against the Giants last week. Still 2, I think, pretty clean losses, but some of the examples in this run game, he's doing a nice job. This is 6 yards, and I think this just illustrates and gives us an opportunity to give credit to the Ravens coaching staff for recognizing that we've got different traits or different skills for the guys on the field, and so let's get things handled differently. And in that case, they did. They zoned it with Linderbaum and Macari, and then pin pull or fold with Falele and Rosengarten. Very next snap, second play of the game, it's going to be a counter scheme. So we've gone from a zone with a pin pull to counter, which is gap, on consecutive plays, really putting these guys in a lot of conflict. Ricard motion is going to kick out Watt, and that draws Patrick Queen out of here. It's a 21 personnel grouping. We're running counter, but we're fanning on the backside with Stanley. So There's something there that the Ravens coaches recognized or saw, whereby on a counter scheme, we didn't want to leave the outside linebackers free. So check out how we get this done. Normally, you would be down blocking here, and then this will be the guy that's getting kicked out by your counter. Your first puller, in this case it's Falele, and then the second puller or the wrap is Rosengarten. We don't do that here. This is counter fan. So we're fanning out to the OLB, and look at the space that's afforded here. Number one, Queen is out of there because he's responding to Ricard. We have a natural tendency there. We know that. Rosengarten, this is very similar to stuff we did last year with Morgan Moses. Rosengarten's quick. And again, I think we're taking advantage of the characteristics, the traits, the actual individual ability of our players instead of just cookie cutter, hey, this is what we're going to run because this is who we are. I think the Ravens absolutely came in really prepared for the run game element to get things done in the run game against Pittsburgh's defense. And then lo and behold, that's the way that it turned out. Have to give them credit. Have to mention the diversity of the attack and how difficult. Me personally, we always felt like if we were facing a zone team, we could prepare in a certain way. Whether we wanted to make them bounce it, slant into the zone, whether we wanted to make them cut it back, slant with the zone, or do some other things. Against gap schemes, if that's all we saw, power, counter, we felt comfortable. But when you go up against a team that can do both, the questions it elongates or delays your inside linebacker or second-level defender's ability to react because, A, they're not sure if it's a gap or a zone scheme on any particular snap. I would say those of us, myself included, that say we should run more gap schemes, we should run more zone schemes, we're all wrong. We should do both and tailor it to the team that we're facing. And in this case, Monken and the offensive staff, I think, had the perfect answers. You really can't go wrong when you're talking about Derrick Henry being the guy that gets the football in terms of creating answers. We're into the second possession here now, and this is a little bit of a hybrid. I've always described split zone as a hybrid concept. It is a zone concept, and Henry takes this front side. But you also have a kick-out block. A counter scheme, a gap scheme, would have one puller who's kicking out, a second puller who's going to wrap, like you just saw on the previous play. And a zone concept is going to be all the linemen generally stepping in one direction. In this case, we're getting that element, the zone, and then the split aspect of it with likely kicking out on the backside, or at least attempting to do so. This is second possession. It's a 1st and 10 out of 12 personnel. So Likely and Andrews are both on the field. And you can see what happens here. Because the back is on the side where Likely's going to kick out, this OLB is focused on Lamar. He's worried about the mesh. What am I told to do on this call? Am I told to go at Lamar? Am I told to go at the running back? What am I supposed to do? There's various calls that they'll use. And look, the Steelers in our Week 11 matchup, they actually did vary the calls on our zone gives. So I think that Todd Monken and the offensive staff, deserves even more credit for what they did, because Pittsburgh in Week 11 in our 18-16 loss, they were more variable in their answers than they pretty much ever had been against our option game. Like I said, this is 12 personnel, but the Steelers have widened up Queen here, and this did not work out well for them, in my opinion, generally. They widened him up, and so as Henry takes this front side, Queen is dealing with Andrews. It's just on the right edge of your screen. Excuse me, I was double-checking to make sure that you guys could see it. And so Fitzpatrick is the guy that's got to fit here. Well, that just makes our combos so much easier to get done, and they do a great job of it. And guess who it is? Linderbaum and Macari comboing, and then Macari will peel off and get to Fitzpatrick. Well, that's in our favor. Macari has size and strength against him, number one. Number two, 50 isn't sure where to fit this. So Henry takes it front side, 11-yard gain. Like I said, this is on the second possession. So you've already got, through our first, I think, 7 plays, maybe 8 plays, a tremendous amount of variability in what we're running, whether it's gap or whether it's zone. My favorite play from this game, trap read. Here we are, second possession. This is unique at the NFL level. I think we're getting this accomplished easier because we generally know what these guys are going to do. Now, that doesn't apply to Nick Herbig. Last game, Week 11, Nick Herbig would run down the line violently and take the running back, and so Lamar would keep it oftentimes and run out to the edge. I think we might still have that element here. We've got the bubble aspect, Wallace setting up to run block, and then Bateman taking off on a go. If Preston Smith was to veer down the line and take away Henry, Lamar would probably just keep it and run into this vacated space, and or throw it to Zay Flowers. We do have linemen downfield, though, so that's a problem in that type of evaluation. But the way we get this accomplished is really cool. It's supposed to be a trap concept. Benton ends up falling down or face planting. Why? Because Rosengarten influences him. Same play from the end zone angle. Look, this one goes for 13. Henry's first 5 carries were just absolutely gouging them. So we're back blocking with Linderbaum, gap scheme. Falele's going to pull and kick, gap scheme over there. Stanley does a really nice job of comboing down on Hayward, and then he's going to go pick up Peyton Wilson, who didn't look like he reacted well to some of these run concepts, number one. Number two, also, Patrick Queen, since he sees Falele pull to the outside, he's gone. He's out of the run fit once again, and so it allows Rosengarten to slip underneath. Look at how Herbig is playing this. Totally different from Watt and Preston Smith and Highsmith. Herbig tends to play these a little bit tighter, a little bit more parallel to the line of scrimmage. I wonder if Herbig was on the opposite side, if he wouldn't be running down here, and this wouldn't have turned into a keep by Lamar into the vacated space. They were not prepared for this play at all. Credit to Monken, the offensive staff, for putting this in. I call it trap read. Welcome to let me know what your experience is, how you've described it terminology-wise. I think it's a beautiful concept. I'd love to see us run it a little bit more against some other teams. It perfectly fits and exploits how the Steelers have generally played our option game over the years. So once again, credit to Todd Monken and the offensive staff for being able to recognize that and get it done. Moving forward here to the fourth possession, we actually scored on that second possession after the trap read play. This is fourth possession. We'll score on this one as well to go up 14-7 late in the second quarter. And this is just inside zone. From 12 personnel bunch. Now, the Steelers have 2 inside linebackers on the field because of the situation late in the second quarter. I guess that's why they're matching with their nickel. So they don't have 4-3 structure on here. We're running the zone back to the weak side, and Linderbaum picks up Peyton Wilson, and that's exactly where Derrick Henry goes. This one goes for, I believe it's 14 yards, 12 yards. Gets you the end zone angle so you can see it. Kind of Titans-esque. And what I mean is the Titans would oftentimes line up ball on the hash, 1 or 2 tight ends to the field, our right-hand side, and then they would still run the zone back over here, essentially making you be honest. I thought Hayward was still the same caliber of player in tight or short space, but anything that was wider path, he didn't seem to have the same type of agility. You'll see a couple of examples of that later on. So Hayward has maintained outside arm free on McCary, and Linderbaum did a great job getting up to Wilson. Punches the nose tackle, 57. I'm not even really sure who that is. Allows Falele to take him over. And then Henry exquisitely kind of veering to his right and then cutting it back. Watt unable to finish the tackle. Neither is Peyton Wilson. The Steelers really got taken advantage of in the run game in the first half. We had 121 on the ground at halftime. I think it's pretty unique that we were able to do that. I think it's pretty unique in this matchup between the Ravens and Steelers historically, that we were able to generate so many yards. You know, we're halfway to 240. We actually did finish with 220. It required a 44-yard run by Henry in order to make that happen. I'm not discounting that run. I'll actually show it to you later. Point is, we got 121 on the ground on a bunch of 11, 12, 13, 8-yard gains by Derrick Henry. We didn't even really need Lamar to do much with his legs to get to 220. I think he had 22 on the night. Moving forward here, this is the third quarter. We're only up 17-10. We, of course, allowed the late field goal to the Steelers to end the second quarter. I was a little disappointed in that one. And almost conceptually similar to jet dive. Except after Bateman goes through on the snap is when Flowers is motioning across. So it's not really a motion because it's occurring after the snap. But that cross action, first guy through, Bateman, second guy through, Flowers. I love anything that's got horizontal action and a mesh between Lamar and Henry. I think I kind of explained this a little bit earlier in the year. I feel like it's, one, not necessarily in terms of option, but ability to get the football to a guy. Two, Henry in the opposite direction. And then now, Lamar Jackson is our third possibility on the play for who's going to be responsible to making a decision or making a play. Number one. And number two, I like that we've removed Lamar's responsibility to actually make a decision on this play post-snap. Now, he may come up and have some type of decision-making process to go through, but this second man through always, I felt like, puts inside linebackers and OLB to the flow side. When I say flow side, I mean Flowers, not the run flow. Puts them in tremendous conflict. Linderbaum gets to Roberts, and you can see that Queen is all on his own, and Henry understands that. He's setting him up. And he's brought it back to our left, his right. I'll run it back a couple of times. Sorry, the film got a little bit choppy there. I think that Henry is brilliant at this stuff. And in my opinion, the horizontal nature of the motion by Bateman and then the post-snap move, essentially hide look by Flowers, and then Lamar booting off of it, sets this up beautifully, sets this up better than any other concept pretty much that we do. You'd have to call this a zone scheme, in my opinion. It's essentially solo over here off our left side, and Macari actually falls down. I just think the jet dive, anything horizontal, allows Henry great opportunity, more time to read it, to respond to it, and use his vision. This is the third quarter where we get stopped on a 3rd and 1. I'll show you that here in a moment. Credit to the Steelers' defense. They were actually providing a lot of resistance here. I think we moved 22 yards in 6 plays, maybe 5 plays. So there was a lessening of our efficiency. This is not an example of that, really. It's a 12 personnel setup. Their base defense is on the field, and we go 3 to the boundary, essentially snag smash with Derrick Henry. Justice Hill would normally be on the field here. Great catch by Derrick Henry. So snag smash is normally little snag, corner route. That's not exactly what Likely runs. Likely actually brings his route over the middle of the field, but the setup 3 to the boundary is the same, even though the ball's in the middle of the field. It's Pro Twins A, as what the formation would normally be. Twin slot A is what I would call it here. It's a great throw by Lamar, or great catch by Derrick Henry, I should say. Andrews is trying half-heartedly to get the pick done on Roberts. Henry breaks the tackle. He ends up getting 11 yards. His yards per touch was insane last night. This is the aforementioned 3rd and 1. I think this will be 4 plays after that one that I just showed you, the 11-yard completion to Henry. What I don't like about this is we've hustled to the line, which we do often. Hurry up. The Steelers are actually in their 4-3 structure here. So they've got all 3 inside linebackers on the field. And come on. Did you think we were running the football over here to Zay and Tylan Wallace's side? On a 3rd and 1, we're bringing it back. Now, Macari kind of seems like maybe him and Linderbaum maybe trip over each other's feet or something. I'm not sure why Macari's stepping where he is. When you get the end zone angle, you're welcome to let me know what you think of it. Credit to Roberts for making the tackle across the line of scrimmage. The Steelers, were able to get a stop there. We're only up 17-10. Kind of an ominous moment there that they were able to slow down our run game initially in the 3rd quarter, and then in this case stop us on a 3rd and 1. So this is the 3rd and 1 from the end zone angle. I just don't think we have numbers here. From the midline over, in my opinion, we don't have numbers. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 versus 1, 2, 3, 4. The way that I would count it. Technically, it'd be 4.5 for us because Lamar would count for a half. But in any case, Roberts is there. Linderbaum and Macari, maybe their feet get caught up. Maybe they don't. Ends up being a loss on the play. One of the very few situations where they were able to stack up Derrick Henry at all. This is later in the 3rd quarter. It's going to be a jet dive situation from a setup standpoint, from the motion, and then what Lamar looks like he's doing with Henry. But we come back to the top side with a running back screen. It's a beautiful play that I just think complements that jet dive action. Flowers with the jet, Henry in the opposite direction, very similar to what I described earlier. The only difference is we didn't hand the ball off. Lamar getting this accomplished. This seemed very tight and congested in the broadcast angle, and the All-22, I think, just confirms that. This is tight space to get this done. Really nice job by Linderbaum, and then I think it's Falele to get out in front. Falele doesn't hit a home run here, but you don't have to. When you're getting out in front, you just got to hit a single. Make those guys make a decision, and in this case, I would say that qualifies as a single. Getting the guy out of the way, allowing Henry to get another 5, 6, 7, 8 yards once he's downhill. Jet, we didn't hand it off very much so far this year. I think one time Saturday night. Jet dive has been an amazing play for us from a yards per play standpoint. Jet dive play actions, running back screen is really fun to watch. It's not fun to defend at all. In fact, the Steelers used this concept against us in the Week 11 game to great effect, and we stopped it very well on Saturday night defensively. So we're dealing with the edge defender so that he doesn't get there and impact Lamar, or we're trying to deal with him at least. Herbig is getting around Stanley. I didn't think Stanley played real great, but Stanley also knows the play. He knows the concept. All I got to do is get a piece of him. I don't necessarily have to pass pro him the whole time on this particular concept. Linderbaum gets out here. The key block right here. Falele out in front. Big one for Henry. Like I said, this is late third quarter. It was 17-all at this moment, and we're down inside their half of the field. To be able to get that play off, I thought was important. Moving forward to the fourth quarter, we actually went down and took a 24-17 lead there. And this is going to be outside zone, the one that I think we all would like to see Henry be given these opportunities, particularly against tiring defenses. I do think there's something to be said about the fact that the outside zone wasn't something we went to until the Steelers' defense was quite tired. They had been softened up. It's 21 personnel, so Ricard and Likely are on as the tight ends from a formation standpoint. Heavy, one tight end to the right, one tight end to the left. And we run the outside zone against this 5-3 look. Stanley's stepping out to the OLB, and then Likely's going to work up to the corner. The Steelers didn't go with the motion across. They just widened up the inside linebacker, Elandon Roberts. So there's no fit there. Also, Queen. I just found Queen to be behind the play multiple times on Saturday night. I don't mean he played bad, just what the Steelers were asking him to do. He was just away from the play or stepping away from the play. It's great hustle by him here. He's actually one of the guys involved in the tackle. I'll give you the end zone angle. The free runner here is Fitzpatrick, in case you're wondering. You know what comes after this one, the interception on the ball intended to Bateman. I think this illustrates the lack of agility for Hayward at this point in his career. He's a great football player, Hall of Fame guy. But moving side to side, moving laterally is not something that is his strength. McCarry actually tries to hold. He's unable to get it done. Fitzpatrick goes underneath. So even though they're in the correct gaps, and what I mean is Fitzpatrick's got this gap, Hayward has that gap, athletically, he's not able to handle that space. Henry just widens up his path a little bit. I didn't think McCarry did a real great job there, to be honest with you. I just feel like that was one of the things that's there to get done against this team from a run concept standpoint is making Hayward move kind of laterally. In tight space, he's the same guy he's always been. His technique, I think, is really great. So we're getting to the very next play. I'm disappointed in this call. Look, I want to get Derrick Henry the football. I think we win a Super Bowl by relying on him, first and foremost, if we can execute. We did execute on Saturday night. From an offensive line standpoint. Are we going to be able to do that against every single defense? No. There are going to be teams that take it away from us, and we'll have to go to complementary things. I'd like to see us run the football here. I understand that people have different opinions. It's 20 personnel. Lamar is expecting Bateman to run across here, whether he should be or should not be. I don't know. I just know that other people are going to say, hey, you do have Ricard open in the flats and Zay Flowers running open here. It really doesn't matter to me who scores touchdowns. I don't think it matters to Lamar. I think he knows that this concept has been open lately, and it was open against the Steelers in Week 11, number one. And for whatever reason, right here, when he's appears to be looking in the middle of the field, he just doesn't see Ricard flying open. It's unfortunate. We wish Bateman kept running, whatever his read is. And we didn't throw an interception because we could have finished the game off right there. It's 24-17 at that point. We eventually do continue running the football with with Henry after Humphrey's pick six. We named a bunch of jabs, a bunch of 5-yard runs, a 3-yard run is in there, a 4-yard run, I think a 1-yard run by Henry, and we get the ball up 31-17 with about 7.5 minutes left, maybe 7 minutes left, something like that. So it's already a 2-score game. So long as we don't turn the football over, we're good. The one thing I really like is that we were able to go down there and get points. It wasn't a situation where we left things up to our defense to just make multiple stops. They did, but this is one of my favorite plays. You guys know that. Jet dive creates so much conflict for the defense, and this angle really illustrates it. This is Herbig, who I said, what does Herbig normally do on zone read stuff? If Lamar's feet are here and the running back is on this side, or running back crosses Lamar's face, Herbig is normally going to go with it. So this is interesting that on this play, we're up 14 points. They have to know we're trying to run the football. Herbig is running for quarterback. If this was our defense, I'd be complaining, like, what are we doing from an awareness standpoint? Why are we allowing this to open us up like that? Well, Queen, again, is widening up with Flowers. The corner is, I guess, looking for work from the front side. So you've got option 1, theoretically, Flowers. Option 2, Henry with the run concept. We know he winds it back underneath. Why does he wind it back? Why is that so open? Because the OLB runs at Lamar and because Queen widens up. I think strategically, the Steelers made some mistakes. And I think it's okay to point that out. I'm not sure what I do know that Steelers Depot has a guy, I think his name is Alex Kazora. I really like his work. I very rarely get the chance to watch it. I very rarely get the chance to watch really any other film study videos because my ambition is so high. I try to get so many things done. But he does great work. I'd be interested to see what he has to say. If you're interested in watching, first of all, he seems like a great dude, so I would support his work. Whether he's honest or not about the Steelers defense. I know that the people that cover the Ravens, the content creators I interact with, Coach Evans at Sip to Tally, Jason at Huddle It Up Films, EA, Edgar Allen, if he's still doing some videos, Cole Jackson at Road Graders, those guys are going to be honest. And even the Ravens content creators that are just limited to Twitter. But if a team can be honest about their own defense, here, this is poor awareness. We're up by 14 points. Henry is already gashing you. And off of this jet, and then possible boot by Lamar. It's a great job by Rosengarten to pick up that D tackle. I felt like they were a little softer and less athletic inside for the most part. Not on this one. This is the same drive where we're trying to finish them off. We run power, and Stanley just really can't get to Hayward. And I think this kind of illustrates what I'm talking about. If it's tight space, compressed area, then Hayward is still the same guy. Look at him jack up Stanley, who's just trying to cup on the backside. Didn't think Stanley played really well, but have to give credit to Hayward for this particular one. It's a 3rd and 2. Macari kind of toe tapping a little bit. And I believe it's 92 underneath there. They hold us for a stop, apparently. It was close, I thought, in the broadcast angle. We ended up kicking the field goal to finish it off. I think the Ravens' run game was very diverse, very versatile, and in my opinion, that's the way to go. I'm not one of those people that thinks we should do only one zone, only one gap scheme. I love the fact that we're integrating both of them and, in fact, have some mixture or hybrid concepts. The pin pull, the first play of this video that I showed you, really put the Steelers in conflict at the second level. I didn't think they had any answers. It never really seemed like, I guess that drive in the third quarter, they were contesting everything. It took us so many plays, so many snaps to advance the ball 25, 24, 26 yards, something like that, before the failed 3rd and 1 to Derrick Henry that I broke down a little bit earlier. They were contesting, give them credit. But other than that drive and this 3rd and 2 stop that I just showed you where they knew that we were going to run the football, we controlled them with the run game. Have to say that our offensive line played really well across the board with a couple of small exceptions. Derrick Henry is who he is. He's a special talent, special player. I don't think it really matters whether you get a special running back, a special receiver, a special tight end. Like, think of the Raiders. They drafted a special tight end, Brock Bowers, who looks amazing. He's set a record already, broke Sam Laporta's record, I think, from last year for most receptions by a rookie. If you get a special player, it's going to have an impact on your offense. So for me, just similarly, like I don't care about gap versus zone schemes, I don't care about where we get a special player from. In this case, we did, and I hope we can keep him for as long as possible because he is an offense unto himself, capable of reading and reacting to anything as the gameplay from Saturday shows, and hopefully I was able to illustrate you here. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section, number one. Number two, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media if you'd like to see this content get more reach.